going to have Misty and her team from the Office of the University Registrar joining us to talk about updates to DegreeWorks, as well as the program validation work that's been ongoing in their unit. So we're still getting a few people admitted, and as soon as Misty and her team are all ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
Thanks so much, Kayla. I really appreciate the intro there. Hi, I finally got in. I was like, I don't remember my password. It was crazy to log in. So technical difficulties this morning already. Thank you all for joining us today. As Kayla said in her intro, we're going to kind of go over the DegreeWorks upgrade, what that entailed, and also look at the new responsive dashboard, which Patrick and the DegreeWorks team are going to go over first. And then if we have time at the end, we're also going to discuss the process that we went through with each of the colleges with validation and validation of the curriculum requirements for the 21-22 academic year. So without further ado, I know we're on a time limit here. I'm going to let Patrick take over and introduce his team.
Good morning. I think most of you I've met in some capacity, either personal, professional, or both. I'm Patrick Hathaway. I'm the Assistant Registrar for Academic Progress over in the Registrar's Office. I have a presentation, but it said I can't share. So I don't know if you can give me permission to share my screen.
Hang on 1 second, Patrick.
And there's two of me in here. One of them's my PC in front of me, and the other one's my laptop. You want to share? You want to give? If you can only give permission to one or the other, you want to give it to the one that doesn't have a video associated with it.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Perfect. You're screen sharing now.
Excellent. Minimize all these Zoom things that are all over the screen here. All right. So big thing that happened for DegreeWorks over the last, 2-3 months was we did a big upgrade. I know there were some stability things the first couple days, but now we've kind of got everything settled, and now we're here to kind of talk about what all happened, what was the purpose of all this stuff. Before we get into that, though, I just wanted to kind of reintroduce the DegreeWorks team in case there's anybody new in here or anyone who has new members of their team who might need a reminder of who does what where for DegreeWorks. So for our downtown campuses, Law and the Honors College, we have Amon McWilliams, and I believe Amon is in here if he wants to pop in and say hello.
Popping in to say hello.
Thank you, Amon.
I see a lot of familiar faces. So.
And then for the Evansdale campus, Joelle Starn is the analyst there. I don't think she's in here at the moment.
Yeah, I'm in here.
Oh, here she is. Okay. Hi, Joelle.
Good morning.
And then for the health sciences and the Kaiser and Beckley campuses, we have Kent Campbell, and I have all their contact information there if you need to reach out to them. Is Kent in here?
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning.
There he is. Hi, Kent. Okay. So really so I want to talk about first what happened with DegreeWorks on the upgrade was there were a lot of new back-end tools introduced. So a lot of those things don't affect you all as advisors directly. However, they will to help us on the DegreeWorks end get things done more quickly. So originally, not to get too terribly technical, but whenever we needed to make changes to DegreeWorks, and that was more or less anything other than the actual blocks that make up the programs, we had to get ITS involved, and it had to go through this multi-layered process in order to get from the development instance that we work in when we're putting things together through to our testing instance, and then all the way over to production. So it was a huge multi-pronged, multi-stepped process. All of those things, or the majority of those things, have now been removed. We're able to propagate things from our development instances all the way up to production on our own for the vast majority of things that we do for DegreeWorks. So what that will mean for you all is faster turnaround times on whenever new requests are made for new data. Specifically, we're looking in kind of the header area. Those are the places where we make the majority of kind of new feature changes, is up in the header where we're adding new information, making things more available for you all. And sometimes those things could have taken a long time because there's a lot of back and forth and ITS availability and whatnot. All those things have been removed, so we're now able to take care of all those things within the DegreeWorks unit. And then maybe the first thing you noticed once you were able to log into DegreeWorks was the fresh coat of paint. It's kind of small on the grand scale of things, but as far as we've now brought DegreeWorks kind of in line with the current university branding standards. So it kind of looks and works more holistically within all of the other applications that students are using. As DegreeWorks was always kind of the outlier where it had kind of an outdated color scheme and things like that, and now it fits more in with the rest of the online offerings. All right, informational changes. So some of these things aren't necessarily related to the upgrade itself. This is more of a reminder of some things that have been added or changed over the last year and a half, things like that. Just as a reminder for everybody that these are kind of the DegreeWorks is evolving. We're adding new things as we go along. Catering to requests that are made from either the university, from the provost office, or things that you all as the team of advisors have requested to say, hey, we would like to be able to see X through DegreeWorks rather than having to go out to Banner or some other tool in order to find that information. And again, probably the main place where we make these changes are in that student header, that top box when you log into DegreeWorks. When you pull up a student, there's that information right at the top, and that is where the majority of our new information comes in. The first one here is the SAP completion rate. So that's the satisfactory academic progress. It's a financial aid indicator that calculates the percentage of courses that a student has completed versus the number of courses that they have attempted. It's just a very simple this divided by that, and then converted into a percentage. There's a whole bunch of information on the financial aid website about what all this entails, but students need to have a 67% completion rate in order to be eligible for financial aid. And then, so what we've done is we've taken that percentage rate, we're displaying it in DegreeWorks in the header bar, and then it's also URL'd to link back to the financial aid website where the students, advisors, whoever can see more information about that percentage. There was an update to the probation and suspension policy starting in 2020. There's a whole bunch of new codes that are associated with students who have been on probation or suspension, and how that affects their academic standing. So originally, the academic standing, we've modified it a little bit. It's always been there. It used to just have the standing, but now what we've pulled in is we also have the codes that are associated with that standing so that you can see if a student is on probation or is coming off suspension or anything like that. You'll be able to see, hey, this student's been on probation twice. This student's been suspended once. There's different tiers now with the academic standing. And now DegreeWorks will be more transparent in displaying that information to the students and the advisors. And then this one was requested as part of the course program of study. Stuff that's going on with financial aid is this financial aid status indicator. So there were when we were working with financial aid, we were going out to all the colleges. A request that we heard a lot, or I guess a comment that we heard a lot was, we have no idea if our students are receiving financial aid that's affected by this. And oftentimes the students don't know either. They're just, oh yeah, I have loans, or oh, my parents have loans, or you know, my parents take care of that, or whatever the situation might be. So advisors just had no idea if you know, students were going to be affected by this. So what we've done is we've added this indicator to DegreeWorks to determine, you'll see a student is an aid recipient if they do receive aid that will be affected or impacted, or could be affected or impacted by course program of study. So again, this only affects students that are in the aid programs that will be affected. So if a student has financial aid that isn't part of kind of the course program of study umbrella, they won't have anything displayed here. So it's only for students that are receiving those types of aid that are impacted by course program of study. And then this one's a little bit older, but just to reiterate it in case you missed it, time ticketing. So in the spring of, as 2 springs ago, we switched to time ticketing for registration. So the way time ticketing works is students are all placed in buckets based on their class standing. And then when that time slot comes, they can log into Banner and register for courses. And what we do is once those time tickets are assigned to a student, it starts displaying in DegreeWorks just below the student header, in that white space kind of in between the student header and the degree block. It'll let the student know, here is when your time to register is. Okay, so kind of the other big thing, now we're getting back into the upgrade stuff. One of the big things that came along with the upgrade was this new dashboard. The Lucian has called it the responsive dashboard. And these two, and then the DegreeWorks that we know is referred to as the classic dashboard. So they probably didn't want to go with new dashboard because of new Coke and, you know, Coke and new Coke and Coke Classic. So we got the classic dashboard, and then you've got the responsive dashboard. So these two can run simultaneously. And currently, actually, for us, they are running simultaneously. We just don't have anybody in the responsive dashboard because the URL has not been publicly available until this very moment. And so the URL for the responsive dashboard is down there. It's degreeworks.wvu.edu/our-dashboard. And that will take you into the new dashboard. And as far as the information that it's pulling, it's sourcing its information from the exact same place. So there should be no difference informationally in the audit itself as far as a student's coursework and things like that, because it's pulling from the exact same data source. And then, not to scare anybody, but this is kind of the direction that Lucian has indicated, that at some point in time, they have not put in a definitive date on it or anything like that. So it's not a tomorrow, it's not a next week, it's probably not even a next year or a next 2 or 3 years thing. But at some point in time, the classic dashboard will go away and it will be replaced in entirety with the responsive dashboard. Again, no fear. The classic dashboard, if that's what you're familiar with, that's what you're comfortable working in, is not going anywhere anytime soon, to my knowledge. So some of the issues that we internally have seen with the responsive dashboard is that there are some things that the classic dashboard does that the responsive dashboard cannot do. However, the responsive dashboard is new, and Ellucian is continuing to iterate on it and continue to add ability to customize the responsive dashboard. So if you logged into it today, it's possible that you might not see something or might not have a feature that you have in the classic dashboard, but then at some point in time in the future, it may become available. So one of the reasons why we're kind of bringing out the responsive dashboard today to this group is we would like you all to kind of poke around with it and let us know what you think and as far as how we can customize. We're going to look at it together today to kind of give you a walkthrough, see how it works and how you kind of use it. But the primary benefit from a student standpoint as to why Ellucian has kind of moved in this responsive dashboard direction, and if you haven't already opened up your web browser and pulled it up, when we're looking at it, you'll see the responsive dashboard is mobile friendly. So I don't know if anybody other than me has ever tried to look at DegreeWorks on a phone. It's not very user friendly. It is terrible. However, the responsive dashboard, adjusts, correctly to fix to fix sizes of blocks and things like that. So it is perfect for the small screen, which is very important for students because they're on the go, they're looking at things on their phone while they're, doing whatever it is that they're doing. I was a student. I spent a lot of time sitting at home. I always had my laptop available, but I know I'm not the norm.
Hey, Patrick, I just wanted to chime in real quick on the chat. I'm just monitoring the
Yeah,
chat real quick.
I see
And
that.
you saw Greg, it gave
Yep.
him
It
can
could
you
be it could be that we need to add a key to the advisor group. I'll look at that here once we finish up here.
Okay, so everyone's getting an error at this point in time, and we'll work on that after Patrick's presentation. He can probably do something to fix that while I'm speaking, and then we'll make sure everybody has access to that.
Looks like some folks are able to see it and some folks are. Yes, it's very important, as Alex just mentioned here, that the R and the D do need to be capitalized. It's important for the URL.
And Patrick, can you throw that link in the chat real quick?
Sure.
Just so they can maybe click on it from there.
And when this is eventually rolled out, it will likely be in tandem with the in Portal with another button so that you won't have to worry about typing the URL correctly. You just click the button. All right, so as I mentioned, we want to get you involved in the testing and the customizations to the responsive dashboard. There isn't a hard deadline to get this rolled out. DegreeWorks is up as far as the classic dashboard is concerned. It is functional. It does what it needs to be doing. So as you can give us feedback towards getting the responsive dashboard kind of customized in a fashion that as much as we can do to make it as easy for you all to start using the responsive dashboard in tandem with the classic dashboard, or replacing the classic dashboard with the responsive dashboard entirely if you like it a lot better. We can work on that. So that kind of finishes up this portion of the presentation. Actually, this is pretty much the only part of the presentation. Next slide is questions, which we'll save for the end. Let's get into the responsive dashboard and poke around with it. Okay, so this is the responsive dashboard. It's much more streamlined, stripped down than the classic dashboard. There's a lot less, I guess, bells and whistles attached to it, but it really has the core functionality. Does this need to be accessed in Chrome? No, I'm currently using Firefox, so it should be fine to use everywhere. So I have a couple extra tabs that you probably don't have, but in general, you will have this this view. And what you'll do when you log in is you just type in a student's ID number and it will load up the student. Maybe. It's getting its first leg stretched with all the people that are
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a ton of people trying to access it right now, so it's not wanting to function.
It's broken already. All right. Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go to connect to the VPN here, and I'm going to go to our development instance. All right. So once you searched up a student, you'll see here it just pulls up the student's information, same as you've seen. You have the degree toggle right here, drop down, which will change between any degree types, the student, same information that that is in the classic dashboard. Can switch between the two degree toggles here. The big thing that I think will change is the header right here. So right now, the only thing that we have displayed is academic standing, whereas there's a bunch of other stuff in the student header. We'll bring all of those other things back in. This one's just here as an example to kind of show this is how it's going to look. It's more of it's less of a structured table and more of a just line by line of information, which personally I think they could organize this a little bit better, but that's what it looks like right now. And then we'll add more stuff here. This is just here. The academic standing is one of our custom things. These are delivered by default. So for any student right now, these will always be here. And then academic standing is the first of the customizations that we've added back in. But as you scroll down, you'll see here's the degree block here, and then you'll have the major block, and then you'll have the fall through, and then you have the over the limit, which is the insufficient, withdrawn, repeated. We'll rename this so that it aligns more with the what you're used to in the classic dashboard. But this is that insufficient, withdrawn, repeated section. And the nice thing about this, again, since this is mobile friendly and everything, they've really taken the effort to make it as mobile friendly as possible. All of these blocks here are collapsible by clicking on the little arrow right here. And it will just, so if this student has already completed a particular major block or anything like that, you just collapse it and you don't even have to worry about it anymore. And then you'll just see the blocks that the student has remaining. A couple other things to look at here. I want this bar at the top to go away. You can't see it, but there's a big bar here at the top of the screen that's blocking like some of the things. So a couple of things have moved. I see some questions flying in the chat about where's this, where's that, where's this. Again, all the things that are part of the classic dashboard are still part of the responsive dashboard. They've just maybe been relocated to a different place. So exceptions, you have the exceptions up here. If you're wanting to make an exception, same process as it would be. you click on the exception, you have a thing here that needs to be completed, and you click on the little plus sign and it says add exception. It pulls up this box here where you say, here's the same exception types as we've had in the past. And then you'll just fill this in like you would, just like normal. And then you'll hit add exception. DegreeWorks has protections in place that you can't put exceptions on your own audit. So if I tried to add an exception here, it won't let me because this is my audit. Same thing with plans. So the plans are actually maybe the biggest change for the responsive dashboard from what you're used to. The plans, I think, are much better than what they are currently in the classic dashboard. So if we wanted to create a plan for, say, fall 2021, and what I mean by better, I mean the interface is a lot better. They still function exactly the same, but the interface, I think, is a lot better here. So what you have is each term here is listed. You have a nice interface here where you can just add a new course. So if we wanted to add, let's add a couple courses here just so I can show you what's going on. I think I selected the wrong subject, computer science. All right, whatever. We'll just add a couple of these. So once you add a course, you'll see it's here. And if we add the next term to spring, the nice thing here is if you have a whole plan kind of mapped out, and let's say a student wanted to move a course from one term to another. Well, in the classic dashboard, when you want to edit a plan, you have to go in, edit the term, delete a course, recreate the course, yada, yada, yada. With the classic or the responsive dashboard, all we have to do, let's say they wanted to take JRL 298 in the spring instead. You can just drag it and drop it over there. And it'll move the course over to that term. So much quicker ways to create, modify, implement plans. All right, so back out to the worksheet. And so a lot of the things that people are looking for have been tucked away in a couple of these menus because, again, they're looking at mobile friendliness. So having a lot of stuff on the screen is not mobile friendly. So you have to go into some of these side menus to find things that you're looking for. So there's the little hamburger menu up here at the top. There's also these little icons right here. So if you wanted to print the audit off, you can do that. If you wanted to find the contact information, it'll be here, the little email thing. And then the little dot menu here is where a lot of those things that some folks are looking for will be available. So the GPA calculator I saw a question about, class history I saw in there, and then notes. So all of those things are tucked in here. And when you click on them, it pulls up a little menu, and you still have the same calculators still function exactly the same way as they did with the classic dashboard. Class history still here. Notes, again, just pulls up all these separate windows, and you can add notes to the student. There's the pre-canned drop-down menu that's already been there in the classic dashboard. That I don't know how many people actually use the pre-canned notes. I think people generally like to just write their own notes. All right, so that's more or less the responsive dashboard. I know that was kind of a stripped down version of it, but the responsive dashboard is very stripped down. It really gets down to the core functionality of, oh, right, forgot about the what ifs. That's probably another question that people are going to have. The what if is right here, and when you click on it, it functions again very similarly to the way the what if functions now. You'll select a catalog year, it's now a requirement, whereas in the classic dashboard catalog year, it defaults to whatever the student's current catalog year is. With the responsive dashboard, you will have to select a catalog year, whether you're staying in the same catalog year or moving somewhere else. And then from here, it'll let you select a program, and then it'll function as it does with the classic dashboard now, where it'll fill in the rest of it for you. Doesn't like that one. Yeah, we'll have to look at the what if. It doesn't look like it might not be working correctly right now, at least not in the development instance. But it should be functioning exactly the same as far as just selecting a catalog year in a program and then going on. All right, so with that being said, I'll open up the floor, I guess, a little bit to some questions if anybody has anything. Not everybody at once. I see there's a couple things going on in the chat here. Let's see. I got, is GPA calculator gone? We answered that one. For plans, are you able to edit DegreeWorks to make the most current term available at the top? Do you mean on the responsive dashboard or with the classic dashboard? Can you start using with the classic dashboard?
The first term is like 2015.
Okay. We can maybe look at a way of reordering the way the blocks are displayed. We haven't done really any customizations to the plans in the classic dashboard really at all throughout kind of the history of us having DegreeWorks. It's the Lucian delivered, but we can take a look at seeing if we can modify that to reverse the order so that the most recent term is at the top. Can you start using the responsive dashboard now? Yes, you can go in and start poking around with it anytime. Can you modify notes? You should be able to still continue to modify notes. Let's go ahead and test that. We can add a note here and see what Yep. So once you make a note, you can click in here and then you can click on edit note and it'll take you back into the modification screen. Do plans translate between the old and new? Yes. So if you actually looked at my audit here that we were looking at, you'll see that there is actually a plan already here. This plan was created in the classic dashboard and it is still here. So again, the classic dashboard and the responsive dashboard are pulling from the same data source. So everything is the same. Where are the notes? So Beth, the notes, if you click on the little three dots up here at the top, over in the top right corner, there's a little menu here that has notes. And when you click on that, it'll pull up a little pop-up window that has the notes. Have they done away with the subject history? So that is a question that we are exploring. So subject history was originally, when subject history originally was introduced here, it was a WVU customization. An analyst that was here at the time built it and added it in. And then that analyst got a job at Ellucian, and it kind of worked its way into being a sort of feature in DegreeWorks. But it's not necessarily delivered right from the start. So we're looking to see if there's a way that we can implement that into the responsive dashboard. So currently subject history is not available, but that is one of the things that is already on our list of things to see if we can add. Current system, you can refresh and process new, especially if changes are not showing. What can you do here? So there's still this process button right here, and that will do that. That will do that exact same thing here. There's just the, you just make sure these two boxes are checked. You hit process, and that's the exact same process as the process new and the refresh. They've just kind of combined them both into the same button here. So in that scenario, that if you've ever attended one of my trainings, or I have that scenario where you have a student that is sitting in your office on their phone, pulling up STAR, and they said, I just dropped this class right now. Why isn't it showing in DegreeWorks? It's because you still have to click the button, but now it's one button instead of two buttons. Are we going to see credits assigned to the Fs instead of zeros? No, Samoa, that was still a, that is a change that we found. I know we talked about this. We talked about this in a meeting last week. That is now kind of the new delivered method. We're still looking to see if there's a way to change it, but the responsive dashboard will treat those courses the same way as the classic dashboard does. We'll be able to audit our plan against the declared degree program. So what the team here used to do is we used to create templates that were kind of the default declared program plan of study in the catalog. And what we used to do is we loaded them onto every student for freshman orientation as they were coming in. And we stopped doing that a year or two ago because we actually had some folks complain that they didn't like them at all. So we just kind of stopped making them. But if there is enough demand out there for folks to bring those back, we can certainly explore pulling those back in, and maybe not necessarily assigning them on the students at NSO, but just making them available so that you can kind of, your template will be the actual plan of study, and you can just have it there, and then you can create a second plan for what the student is actually doing. That was the big thing, was that we're planning, the plan of study that's in the catalog is planning out a full 4 years of coursework, and some of it's ambiguous where it's like you're going to take an elective or something like that. But and we found, exactly, Chris, where advisors were like, well, now I have to go in and delete this placeholder and actually put in the course I'm actually going to put in there or something like that. So but with the responsive dashboard, with the plans of the responsive dashboard being a bit more easy to use, there might be a need or a desire to bring back those templates that we had originally kind of abandoned because we found that really they were more of a hindrance for folks than a help. At least from the complaints we got. No one ever said, I love the templates, please keep them. All we ever got was, I hate these templates, why do you make them? So, but there may have been folks out there that love the templates. And
Patrick, that's something we can review now with the responsive dashboard.
Yep.
Since it is formatted the way it is. we can assess the benefit of the preloaded templates at this point in time with each of the colleges and determine who would actually use them to make sure that the work is guided in a proper way. So we can do follow up on that.
Yep. Can the catalog year be set to default under the what if? Students don't know what that is when they're using that feature. We'll look and see if there's ways for us to kind of do more guided stuff with the what if. But there may just need to be, there might be some things that we can't do. I'm not saying yes, no. We'll explore it. But when the responsive dashboard becomes the default, there may need to be some culture shift as far as making sure students are aware of certain things, such as catalog years and things like that. But we'll see what we can do to kind of keep things as same as possible. Will students be able to see the notes section without having to access it through the menu you previously showed us? So notes should still, notes will still display here down at the bottom, just like they do on the audit now. So once a student has a note, there will be the notes block will continue to be here as it is in the classic dashboard. When does the responsive dashboard replace the classic? We don't have a hard date, and as far as and from our end, so I guess there's kind of two answers to your question. One, when does Lucian pull the plug on the classic dashboard? I don't know the answer to that one. They have not indicated. They have indicated that the responsive dashboard is the direction that they are moving in, and that at some point in the future, the classic dashboard will no longer be supported by them. So Lucian is the software vendor that creates DegreeWorks. And then I guess the second part of your question is, when does the responsive dashboard replace the classic dashboard at WVU? And my answer to that right now is never. I would like to continue to run both of them in tandem for folks that like the classic dashboard or for people that want to use the responsive dashboard. So my answer would be WVU will remove the classic dashboard when Lucian removes the classic dashboard. But until that point in time, we'll continue to run them in tandem.
That is our plan, Patrick. And also, just so you know, once we get the feedback from you all and we feel comfortable, there will be another button added in the portal that will distinguish the classic DegreeWorks from the responsive dashboard DegreeWorks. So it'll be in the portal and you can choose which one you want to use. So we plan on having both functions available in the portal as long as Lucian continues to support the classic version. So both will be an option.
Yeah, Shane. I know that there are folks that are not going to like the responsive dashboard, and the big thing for me when I first saw the responsive dashboard, so I saw the responsive dashboard at an Lucian conference 3 years ago. I think was the first time I'd seen the responsive dashboard, and they were really playing up the mobile friendly. So I see this more as a tool for students, and then I see advisors going in to use the plans, because the plans layout is a million times better, in my opinion, than the classic dashboard. But I think if you're working from a desktop, from an actual computer, in my opinion, again, your opinion may differ, Lucian's opinion may differ. I think the classic dashboard is still the best DegreeWorks experience on the desktop. But if I'm working on a 4-inch screen like my phone, the classic or the responsive dashboard is leagues ahead of it. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions at this point in time? Again, I know we just kind of introduced it today. You all want to poke around with it a little bit. And I'm 100% encouraging you to do so. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see added. And we'll look and see what we can do. This is kind of a new frontier. There's different levers that we might be able to pull to get things moving in a direction that you all will find a good experience. Greg, if you want to send me an email with some of the students that you are having an issue with, we can take a look at it outside of this meeting.
Yeah, I forgot to send that as, or say that in the beginning of the meeting as well, and I apologize. So any experiences that you're having since the upgrade, which again was required for, you know, to continue to be supported, we had to upgrade. We need to continue to receive that feedback. And then we can work with you on an individual basis to see if there is something specific or if it is at a greater scope of an issue. So we appreciate you contacting us because we are keeping and actually documenting each issue that everyone has. And that's why we'll often ask for ID numbers as well. So we appreciate you to continue to contact either the Reg account with all that, anything that you're experiencing with exceptions or things like that. I believe, I don't want to overspeak with my confidence level in Patrick and the DegreeWorks team, but I do feel like for the most part, anything that was a result of the upgrade, we can more than likely correct if something fell out of place. But until we know the specifics of it, we're not able to troubleshoot. And a lot of times, just so you all know, some of the things that you see, we do not see based on access, right? So it's very helpful for you to continue to send those on an individual basis. And if you will, and I know, you know, everything's time sensitive. I'm just looking at these comments as I'm speaking. So I'm sorry if it's taken me a while to get things out. If you will, if there's an issue with an exception, perhaps before you fix it, send it to us and then just kind of hold off on fixing it until we have the ability to troubleshoot. Because if you fix it, obviously, then we're not seeing what the issue is.
Yeah, Greg, if you fix them on your own, that's not a problem. You are more than welcome to just go in and correct the issue. But if you are finding that there are some departments that may have had, you know, students where they've made 20 exceptions per student or something like that, and maybe they don't necessarily want to reapply all of those. But if it is a big concern for you, we can take a look at it. But otherwise, you are free to correct them on your own. Yeah. Cold tea.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, specifically for the DegreeWorks upgrade, the responsive dashboard, in the last few minutes, remind me, is this an hour meeting or you skipped over the questions? What questions, Kit?
Patty, if you want to send me an email, we can take a look at that too.
Why can
I'm not
I
sure.
audit my plan?
I
Why can't I audit my plans?
I'm not sure what exactly your question is. So if you want to send me an email, we can take a look at it.
I think Kit had a question about entering notes in classic dashboard, if those would be visible in responsive.
Scrolling back up here. The answer to that question will be yes. Again, the classic dashboard and the responsive dashboard are it's just a web interface that's different. It's pulling the exact same information from the exact same source. So anything that you put in classic dashboard will move into the responsive dashboard and vice versa. The exact same data just being pulled into two separate web pages.
Did we miss anyone else's question? We definitely don't want to miss anyone else's question that's specific. That's not like in regards to maybe like an exceptions issue or something like that with the upgrade, but something specific. If we did, can you just unmute yourself and ask?
I'm having the same issue with auditing. I think it's the same as Patty's having. When we're in the plans tab and adding classes into certain semesters, you know, to upgrade the plan, when you go to run a degree audit, it won't let you. At least that's the issue I've found.
So you're in the plans tab. I'm just going to restate this, Susan, and then you correct me if I'm wrong. You're in the plans tab and you're updating things, and then you go to run a new audit and it's not letting you do that, correct?
Correct, but not in the new way, because I still haven't, throughout this meeting, I've shut down and tried to get in the new link and I still can't because it still spins. But in the classic version.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Susan, there's a suggestion that I have. If you have courses that have a grade requirement, like if you require a C- or better, make sure you're putting that in on your plan, because if you don't put the grade requirement in, it'll kick it back out. Does that make sense?
Not really, but I can look at it.
On the plans, under the plans tab, when you're physically entering your plan in and you're listing your courses, if you have, say, you know, for our programs, like, you know, if I say CS 110 requires a C- or better, if I don't state in there under the grade requirement that it requires that C- or better, it doesn't translate to the audit when you run the audit from the plan.
Okay, yeah, I've just read Patty's comment and hers is exactly what I'm having. It's not about a minimum grade requirement. It's just you get that could not format HTML audit report.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's totally different.
Yeah, like I said, we can take a look at that. I haven't had anybody else. This is the first I'm hearing about this error, so we can take a look at it. If you want to send me an email, we can take a look at it. I'm not gonna. I can't do any live troubleshooting right now. It's boring for everybody to watch. So, I'll have to recreate the error and see, kind of look at the back end and whatnot. But if you want to send me an email just to keep it on my list of things to look at, I will certainly take a look at it for you.
Okay, and then Dominique, excuse me, asked, will I ever be able to modify notes in any browser other than Chrome moving forward? Every time I try to modify notes and I'm in some.
Again, it's the first I'm hearing of this particular error. I can certainly, if you want to send me an email, I can take a look at it.
And Kayla, I have a question. Will we be able to have access to the chat notes? Because some of these questions may be here and we can filter back through them.
Yeah, I can try to save those.
Thank you.
Yes, we can get those for you, Misty.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Any other
Oh,
questions
sorry,
about the responsive dashboard or anything like that? I know, again, I know it's the first time you're ever seeing it. You kind of want to independently go look at it, but anybody have any first impressions? Love it, hate it, get it out of here.
So Tony just wanted to also comment that Dominique's error has been going on for quite some time. And she sent that in, but didn't receive a help on the issue. That might have been to me, Tony, I apologize. At the time, there was browser issues, but we believed that those browser issues had been fixed. So because there were a lot of browser issues in the beginning, at first that everything was only working in a few browsers, but now if the nodes are only the issue within the browser, then that's something different than just
And
things,
it might be
right?
a
So
it could be a Safari specific issue. I'll have to download Safari onto my Windows PC. That's one of the issues with web browsers is there's a million of them and everybody can use whichever one they want. And they don't always all work the same way.
So the notes are the only issue. Tony confirmed that. Freddie also confirmed that he had that issue after clearing the history and cache and cookies. He was able to submit notes in Firefox. If you have a preferred browser, it may require the same. So I had sent around that clearing history. There's also a clearing history on Team Dynamics that you can use. And I know a lot of people think that you know how to clear your history, and that's absolutely, you know, I thought the same. But then I also produced that document and sent it out to the DegreeWorks listserv because it is specific and you need to make sure you refresh your browser and close everything out. It's not just the tab, right? So it's very specific to making sure everything's cleared out. That's why we recommended that, and you probably got tired of us hearing clear it, and you felt like you were clearing it, and you really may have been, right? But if it did solve a lot of issues once we sent that out. And Shane said it would be good to use on mobile, not conducive for the advisor, Patrick, on a desktop, just as you mentioned.
Yeah, like I said, in my opinion, the classic dashboard is still the ideal desktop experience. But they may, through a new iteration of the responsive dashboard, maybe implement some of the things from the classic dashboard. Because there's feedback going on. So I'm looking for feedback from you all, and then for things that you all want that we can't do, I'm going to take that feedback and go to Lucian and say, hey, my advisors are asking for this. So eventually, you know, Lucian does listen to a lot of their feedback from their institutions, especially larger institutions like WVU. You know, we have 30,000 students, and they have a lot of their clientele they started off doing a lot of smaller schools, community colleges and things like that, and they've been kind of scaling up over the past couple of years to get DegreeWorks for four-year institutions. So they're still adding new things for those four-year institutions that weren't maybe a consideration for those two-year colleges. And a lot of that stuff has been built by those four-year institutions, and then it works its way into the actual main product itself. Let's see. Scrolling. Is there a way I can sort courses student took by name? When I try to count how many times my advisee repeated one course, it is not easy to view. So you might find the course history, or the class history here. Either it's available in the classic dashboard as well, but it does organize. No, you find the subject history. Sorry, the subject history, not the class history. So the subject history currently not available in the responsive dashboard. The subject history in the classic dashboard would likely be where you want to go, because it organizes everything by subject code and then by numbers. You'll be able to see. So for example, if they took, CS 110 three times, you'll see CS 110, CS 110, CS 110 with whatever grade they got. How do I use the advanced search? Do I use the advanced search if I need to access, if I need Yes. So the advanced search here. So the advanced search here in the responsive dashboard is the same thing as the find button in the classic dashboard. When you click on that, it'll pull up all of the demographic information. So if you wanted to find like a population, or if you wanted to find all 2021 chemistry majors, you would just select, chemistry and whatnot. Or if you just have first name, last name, you can just do first name, last name here. So this works the exact same way as the find button. Can we get the GPA back on the subject history page in the old version? I'll take a look at that too. If any of you, if any of the 4 people here that that are saying yes, this is important, could send me an email just so that it gets into my to-do list. I'll see what we can do on that.
All right, so that wraps up. We're at our hour mark. If anyone has any questions, if you want to submit those really quick to the chat box. We'd just like to thank everyone for coming out today. Thanks to Misty and Patrick and the rest of the DegreeWorks team over at the registrar's office for helping out. And we will be in touch soon about the next meeting, AAC workshop.
Yeah, and as you're messing around with the responsive dashboard, please send me your feedback, either first impressions or as you get deep dive into it a little bit more. Let me know. I want all of it. Even if you tell me you hate it and you hate me, I want to hear it.
Hey, Patrick, do we get to meet your dog before we go? He's been
Oh,
in the
sure,
background on
sure.
the bed.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me grab her here.